All right, today we're not in the shop, we're on the boat testing it out. Since the last time you saw it, I did put a new steering arm in it because the other one broke in half. And we're down here on a smaller lake, not the one we're normally on. We're on Taneycomo down by Branson, Missouri. It's a lot calmer normally than, well, a lot calmer than Stockton. It's not as affected by the wind, and there's supposed to be trout here, so we'll see if we can find any of those. Okay, we've been out here for about I don't know, almost 2.5 hours already. The boat hasn't sunk yet, as you can see. We're above the water. I still haven't caught any fish, but I never claimed to be good at fishing. And the bilge pumps have only kicked on once, so we're not taking on very much water. I know we're taking on a little bit, but not enough that I'm worried about. I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm sitting on top of the engine cover because the weight balance isn't very good with one person. If I sit in my driving seat over there, the boat leans real bad, so now I drive it like a center steer, and if there was two people, we could sit on either side of the motor cover like it's supposed to be. But this works pretty good because the cooler is my backrest, so works out pretty good. Alright, we made it back to dry land. The boat did pretty good. I need to get the trim wired up because I still can't go over like 20 miles an hour before it starts porpoising. So I need to trim the jet down some. I'd like to get a switch mounted on the steering stick. So I'm gonna call the Sea-Doo dealership and see if they can plug it in and tell me why it's not working. And if they can't, I'll just hot wire it like I did the one on the yellow boat, because it works fine. I got this piece of wood put on that I didn't show, and I sealed all along the bottom, and that helps because whenever you come off a plane and you stop real fast, the wave can come up over the back of that, and that keeps that water out. We did have a little bit of carnage today. I took off with my anchor sitting on the front deck, and it landed on my tackle box and broke it, and I also stepped on my ultralight and broke it in half. So looks like I need a new fishing pole. Darn it. Okay, we made it back to the shop, but the boat had more carnage on the way home. The lid for the engine cover flipped up while I was driving because it doesn't have a latch on it, and who would have saw that happening. It ripped all the screws but one out, so I took the hatch off and it's just sitting in the floor of the boat so I didn't lose my cup holders going down the road. So we're going to reinforce the mounting on the back there. I'll probably just put a plate on the bottom and then nut and bolt it through the wood. And then we're also going to figure out some sort of latch, like a turn, and it'll lock underneath there or something. So we'll get that figured out and be ready for the next time after we figure out our trim also. Okay, we went ahead and got the rear deck cover off the boat so we could work on the trim, because to work on that I'm just going to hot wire it for now like it is on the other boat. So I got to take this cover off and unplug the motor, and then I'll tie into the two wires that go into the motor, and I've got a switch for that, so I'll be able to trim it up and down with one switch, and maybe then I'll be able to do more than 18 miles an hour without porpoising. Okay, so I took the cover off, and I don't know if you can see, I drilled a hole in the top here, and I run the 2 wires for the motor out of it. So now I gotta lengthen both of these wires and run them to where the switch is going to be, which is probably going to be up here on this where the other switches are, and I've got to run a power and a ground to it also. So I'm going to go ahead and get 4 wires kind of tied together and run to the front, and then we'll work on hooking up our switch so that hopefully we'll get trim up and down with the 1 switch. All right, I got my wires hooked up to the motor. That's the 2 white wires. I got a blue wire for a hot wire because I don't have any red or any other. That's the only other colored wire I have. And I have a black wire for the ground. So now I'm going to look up a wiring diagram on how to wire up the switch, which is just a double pole, double throw momentary switch. So gotta hook up all these pins, and then should be able to adjust the trim. Leave the wires unhooked from where they're going to go because they're going to go up to the front, but I need them back here so I can make sure the trim's actually working when I get the switch hooked up. Okay, got everything wired up here. Got some crossovers and whatnot. I just used the wiring diagram off of Google, but I got the trim working, so I can tidy up all these wires. I'm going to put some tape around here to try to keep everything from moving, and then we'll run this switch up to the front and find a place to mount it. Okay, we got our switch mounted there. I'll probably end up redoing that and doing it kind of like I did this one here, with it setting behind the wood, just because it'll be mounted more solid, but that'll work for the next test drive. Before we finish this video up, I've got this deck lid here off the motor. I'm going to be trying to strengthen it slightly. I'm going to drill all these holes out up to 1/4 inch and then nut and bolt that hinge on there so that it shouldn't rip it off again. So yeah, I'm going to get that done, and then we just got to figure out some sort of latch for the front here so that it can't flip up while we're driving down the road. But yeah. All right, we got everything put back together. For now, I just put a couple screws. There was already holes, so I put some screws down through the corner of that to keep it where it goes. I shouldn't really have to open that anyways very often. The rear deck's back on, so now we have trim, and that shouldn't fly open again. And that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. The next time this thing goes out, we'll be trying to do a little bit better as far as speed goes, because 18 miles an hour is not very impressive for a boat with this much power. But we'll see you in the next one.